There we go. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody from all around the world, hello and welcome back to another episode of The Welch Report with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. Let's make some noise, everybody. Clap it up wherever you are. Get excited. We're back. We're here. We're live on this Thursday, afternoon, covering the world of boxing and beyond, as we have so much stuff in the world of combat sports to delve into, the biggest of which being Ryan Garcia versus Conor. Benn is now officially going down and announced for the public to see on September 12th in what is supposed to be an absolute action-packed barn burner of two of the more flamboyant stars in the world of boxing as a whole, with Ryan Garcia recently being the likes of, again, Mario Barrios, taking the word about Storm and having everybody see him as an insane talent, revamped, rejuvenated, and renewed in his career. Now with Conor Benn, and also with Conor Benn coming back down, potential to be the 147. We have some questions about him off the biggest win of his career against Tszyu Jr. Then also with a controversial win from the perspective of he did win the fight, but he didn't look as good as we thought he would doing it against Regis Progress. What's going to be the predictions of what people feel for this fight going down on September? As well as we got some talk with Boots in this that we'll get into, with Shakur that we'll get into, and Errol Spence Jr. versus Tszyu, which is happening this month, I believe July 25th. Everybody's got some concerns now that we got Errol Spence moving up to 160 all of a sudden out the blue. Oh, we scared. Some people concerned. Some people are afraid. This brother already missing weight, and we are still, oh boy, discipline questions are into play. Some ability of where's your body at if you already had to move up immediately after already moving up into a new division and getting a new weight class for this fight, fighting at middleweight in your first return. We're going to have, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to delve into. There's a lot we're going to discuss with you all today, and we enjoy you being here with us. Also, we fight all night. Yo, what's good with you? How you doing? I appreciate you joining in on the live stream, and thank you for showing up on our show. Give me 1 second. I got my wires tangled up on my system. Wait a minute. Hold on. There we go. I'm not trying to have stuff knocked over on my Garcia, which we appreciate you being here on our show, on our stream. If you would go ahead and subscribe to the channel and come join the Empire. If you haven't already, be a part of the hottest show in all of the globe right here on YouTube and on every podcasting platform imaginable. You can rate us 5 stars on Apple, Spotify, you name it. We are there. And if we're not there, tell us. We'll get there. Absolutely no question about it. And please be sure to leave a like on the stream. One like makes a world of difference to help grow this community, grow this environment, and grow this channel to the masses all across the globe, and helps your algorithms to tell us, or to tell you all, the public, this is the best place to be in the hottest show in all of the sports globe. And please be sure, if you would, leave a like, hit the notification bell so you know whenever we post right here on YouTube. And if you can't support the channel, we got Cash App, PayPal, links down below in the description. Super chat, super gifts, super thanks, and all that stuff in the chat that you can go through and give us support to this show. Because we're like PBS, we're funded by viewers like you. We can't do this without you. And your support helps us to grow, flourish, and shine as we continue to make this show oh so spectacular. And the most important thing that you can do on this channel, if nothing else, is to simply share the show with everybody that you know, so we can keep on building up this empire together and growing our community oh so strong and oh so forcefully, with all of you at the helm with us together, making this community oh so special. But without further ado, we got a whole lot of stuff to cover. We got a lot of boxing to delve into. We got a lot of sports that we got to talk about, and we got a lot of fights that we need to discuss and debate. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to talk boxing. It's time to talk sports, and it's time to step into the ring. Let's get it started. Ring the bell. Let's get to work. It's time to rock. It's time to shine, and it's time to let your voice be seen and heard, and it's time to discuss the world of the boxing landscape. As with the first topic of the day, we need to delve into Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn is officially going down. Oh yes, oh yes indeed. It's here, it's true. It's outright true. As we transition over into picture-in-picture real quick, you can tell as they got promotional appeal, they got posters and flyers. Everybody's been blindsided. Well, not blindsided, but expecting this fight to actually take place. And now it's officially here. Conor Benn versus Ryan Garcia for Ryan Garcia's, I believe, 147-pound championship, what he won against Mario Barrios in a very entertaining, personality-driven fight where two people that have been explosive, that have been had up and downs in their career, both of them have popped for PEDs, both of them have had losses maybe not losses, but have had dips in their trajectory of reaching greatness that has had people questioning who they are, what they can be, and how great they truly have been throughout the whole career. And have each had their own respectful redemption arcs in their light, and now they're clashing against each other. And this has been a rivalry that's been building up for a mighty long time. This wasn't just a recent thing. This was happening over a year or two ago when they met at the Ring Magazine Awards, roughly I want to say 2024. Maybe 2024, 2023, one of those two things. Either way, we got to see them going hash it out against each other, grabbing on each other's wrists, going and pushing and shoving. And then we have Ryan Garcia in subsequent months of recent in this year going out and saying, Conor Benn is coming. We're going to have him as a fight. That's my next opponent. That's what we're working on. Everybody was looking to say, hey, maybe that fight's going down. Then it came a little bit quiet. Then we had Ryan Garcia entertaining other fights. And then the most recent thing that we had last week, we were saying Conor Benn and Shakur may be in the works to actually go down under the Zuffa banner. However, now it is going to be Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn, not Conor Benn versus Shakur, happening at the lower weight classes. And we are very intrigued, looking and thinking, how in the world, one, is this fight going to go? And two, how in the world is Conor Benn going to look going back down in weight drastically after having two fights at 160 pounds against Chris Eubanks Jr.? Dad, I'm a little bit concerned. Even in his last fight, wasn't it I want to say a catch weight of sorts going up against Regis Prograis in a fight where they had to go and up the weight again? But it was supposed to be at 154, I think they fought at 158. Something around those lines. The biggest thing that essentially we're saying, this man coming back and then coming back. Excuse me, my apologies. Let me get something to drink real quick before I continue. We have a Starbucks coffee today. We trying to, hey, look, Starbucks, if you want to sponsor me, here, we're here for you. Come on through. I drink coffee every day on this show. We would love it and appreciate it if you want to come in and invest in the growing this community and growing your reach across the globe. But regardless of which, I digress. Going back to the topic at hand, Conor Benn versus Regis Prograis was a fight that had us questioning a whole bunch of stuff, and this is with the issues of him dropping weight drastically. And again, not looking the same. Even in the win he had against Chris Eubanks Jr. in the second fight to redeem himself and finally beat a Eubank in that 30-year rivalry, the roughly 20, 30-year rivalry that those families have had. What happened? He beat a weight drained Chris Eubanks Jr. That was drastically different from the first time they fought against each other. It still won. He still beat him. And I'm not going to lie, what he did in that fight, he looked good doing it. But there was context. And in the Regis Prograis fight, there was more context. They had us saying maybe this brother ain't where he needs to be. And now the biggest concern, again, we're going to talk about the fight itself, but the biggest concern is Conor Benn cutting weight yet again, dropping down even lower, and potentially being even more vulnerable. Because I don't see him being able to be successful at the weight that he's at or going to be at, with him moving so far up and down the needle of boxing, both literally and figuratively, when it comes to his own ability to fight within his body. I'm concerned. I'm very concerned. that this brother's gonna walk into that ring against Ryan Garcia, and it's gonna be a very easy fight. Not even because of the skill, strictly because this brother down here is literally stripping himself down. We were saying initially, hey, down at the lower weight class, that's where his body should be at. He's not blowing up to that bigger weight. Absolutely. Also, when we also saying this brother wasn't swatting nearly the same at these lower weight classes. And even trying to get down to the lower weight, he had to go and raise up that weight against Regis Prograis because he couldn't comfortably make that weight that was initially supposed to be against Regis Prograis. So I don't think his body can get down to that same weight in the same way. I'm a little bit concerned that this brother's walking into a danger zone, regardless of what he may feel he's going to be able to do to Ryan Garcia in this fight. And be clear, as we're talking about the fight itself, Ryan Garcia in this fight is a big-time payday. It's a decent name. Well, not even decent. Good name. And the fact he was able to go and make this fight in light of what we had seen Zuffa not want to do in other respects of competition, hey, credit to him and his team. I'll give him that. I'll give him that. I will give him that. Because I honestly thought after signing with Zuffa, everything was going to be in-house. I was wrong. Thankfully. Great. Cool. I love it. The biggest thing, even with that, Ryan Garcia in this fight should be able to mop the floor with Conor Benn.
Hey, look at this! We got the problems here. We got the problems.
He should. He should. I will keep it as easy as possible. This is going to be an exciting fight. This is going to be an entertaining fight. This will be a fight that, yes, indeed, we will enjoy without a doubt. This is going to be a fight that he gets knocked out in terms of Conor Benn. Without a doubt. We're going to see him get knocked out. We're going to see him get put to sleep. Conor Benn in this fight is in way too far over his head. If we're discussing straight up. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hello? Are we back? I think we're back. Hello? I think we dropped accidentally. I think something we froze a little bit. I think put in the chat if we're back on the stream, but I think we should be okay now, and we should be back into the foray of talking about what we're talking about with Ryan Garcia. Again, the conversation with Ryan Garcia. When it comes to Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn should be able to get knocked out against Ryan Garcia. It should be that skill of Ryan right now, it's going to be more than enough, more than better, well-tuned, and we've seen Ryan Garcia find his identity a little bit better in recent years, rather than us questioning who Conor Benn is in light of his last fight. I'll be completely honest. That's not me trying to blow smoke. That's the real reality of the situation. We are looking at Conor Benn and saying, hey, brother, you looked like you weren't not just the same you. You looked like you really aren't able to get back to a form that could have you beat these types of competition and fighters with names like Ryan Garcia and others. You just don't. And it's a shame because I want to see, again, this fight I think is going to be exciting. Sure. I just don't have a lot of hope. I don't. If I'm wrong, please enlighten me. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this whole spectrum of conversation. I'm just telling you, Ryan Garcia is going to knock out Conor Benn. I can almost guarantee it. Even more than just knock him out. We're going to see, potentially, it be quick. If I'm having early predictions and talks with it fight, it could be quick. Because what Ryan Garcia said earlier in this whole, reacting to, we got to fight, we're getting it done, we have ourselves a situation going down with Conor Benn. He said that Conor Benn is too twitchy. He's too jerky, antsy in lights to have himself be able to beat the likes of Ryan Garcia. And it's like, it's going to be easy pickings. Not only is left hook going to beat it, but most other punches I would want to throw will also be there for me to do what I want to do against you. That's how Ryan Garcia is feeling. That's how he's, honestly, that's what he sees is going to happen. going to see a Conor Benn that will indeed be able to mount the floor. And again, it's going to be on Zuffa. It's going to be in partnership with Zuffa Boxing. Credit to him. This is the third big instance of a fight they've been able to get. First, they were able to sign, or first they were able to get Berlanga. No, first it was Richardson Hitchens and Berlanga. Before that, it was Jaya Pataya. Then they signed Shakur. And then before they signed Shakur, they got Conor Benn. Now they got Conor Benn with a fight in a big time affair. That's great. That's awesome for that company, for that promotion. Cool. You're making strides. The only issue is you're going to be hurting one of the few major stars in the realm of your stable in boxing. You are. If you're Zuffa. Because he's getting paid, I forget how much he's getting paid, but I'm telling you this right now. If this does go through, and again, it's official now, Ryan Garcia mops the floor with Conor Benn, Zuffa, they got the big fight. But my God, she's going to hurt their stock immensely. Or it's going to hurt the fighter under their stable immensely. And people are already saying Conor Benn has been overpaid in that same deal and has been overpaid for the type of name and caliber of talent that he is in the boxing world. So we're all saying, hey, brother, you don't put up or shut up this time, it's going to be a problem. This is exactly what you wanted to have. And on this type of stage, yeah, the Eubank stage was rivalry and all this stuff, but now this is just raw, straight up. This could be the biggest win of your career outright. That could set you back on the track of what you were before you popped dirty, eating 100 or so eggs, as you so claim, when it was just straight up PEDs. Y'all, but if Conor Benn does lose, his Zuffa's going to have one less big star that they'll be able to go through and hang their hat on. Hey, we got big names. He'll be a name. He'll be substantial enough, sure. Big might not be the conversation anymore when it comes to Conor Benn. Let me see. Hitstick, what's going on with you? How you doing? Good to see you. Salute to you and everybody in the chat. We thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you're enjoying our show and joining in on our live stream. Hopefully you're having a great time right here as we're reacting to the news that Conor Benn and Ryan Garcia are going to fight each other on September 12th. Ryan about to put the mittens on, bro. He popping it. You doggone right he is. In my opinion, it's not going to be a uber competitive fight. And why do I say that? Well, if we go back and watch the Regis Prograis fight, and then go back and watch the Conor Benn fight against Eubanks Jr., the second one, we were praising on this channel that Conor Benn looked like a more patient fighter in that second fight with Eubank. And my gosh, if he does that against other people with that explosiveness and speed, he can be something serious. He can be a problem. He might not need PEDs, even though he doesn't crack the same way. Yeah, he scored knockdowns on Eubanks Jr., but again, Eubanks was indeed weight drained heavily in that second fight. But if he's able to fight with the patience and he utilizes explosiveness in the way that he did in that Eubanks fight, he can indeed give problems to other fighters down the line. Without a doubt. Coming back down or coming back up. That's what we had said initially. But now, when we saw him come back down and fight against Regis Prograis, all of that patience worked out to nothing. We were saying he went to some degree life or death with the likes of Regis Prograis. Yes, he won the fight. Yes, he deserved to win the fight. But everybody was saying for that first fight deal with Zuffa against a fighter that, with what we had just seen, you should have been able to knock him out if this was the Conor Benn that we were expecting. And not only did you not do that, you went the distance and it was a legitimate competitive affair for a fighter that was injured coming into the fight in Regis Prograis, was on his way out the door, admitting publicly, yeah, man, I was hurt. This was going to be my last fight. I didn't want to quit. But dang it, I was in no way, shape, or form at my best for this situation. He admitted it. So now we're saying that should have been the easiest highlight that you could have had in your career. A flat-footed, slow, predictable, and with all due respect, past his prime, Regis Progress. Should have been able to go and put him out. And you did more than that. You were actively having some trouble and struggles. I don't think you're a better fighter than Ryan Garcia. I don't. This ain't about speed. This ain't about power. This ain't even about the physical makeup of the two. It's about straight up talent. Y'all have been jawing against each other for who knows how long. You all have been going at each other's neck, talking against each other, goading each other up, saying you ain't nothing. No, you ain't nothing. Having conversations about I'm going to mop the floor with you. I'm going to beat the brakes off of you. All this stuff left, right, and center. It's all well and good. What ain't well and good is the fact that all this talk for this fight, I am really believing it might just be talk on one side of the spectrum. And that's Conor Benn. Because if Conor Benn was as good as his Zuffa deal is saying he is, and as the caliber of fighter that we thought would sustain after his fight with Chris Eubanks Jr., the second one, I would not be having any qualms about saying this could be a potential 50-50 fight. This could be a potential fight that we don't know who may win. This is a real battle. Even though Ryan Garcia is bigger and faster hand speed, Conor Benn has a better explosive ability to close the distance and be able to pounce on Ryan Garcia, land some jabs to the body, potentially throw some hooks to the head, be able to be quick enough to circumvent the gap and land stuff when Ryan Garcia tries to back up. I would be saying that. I would be saying that his patience would be effective. I would be saying he put his combinations together in a way like he did in the Conor Benn in the Eubanks fight. We could see some of that same success trickle down into the Ryan Garcia fight. I would. But I'm not. Because I don't think there's anything to, from a fight perspective, I don't think there's anything I can really hang my head on for this current iteration of Conor Benn. And we see the training footage. Oh, he's ducking down low. He's doing all this stuff. He's fighting like Mike Tyson, but he doesn't fight nothing like that inside the ring when we actually see him. And more often than not, he is liable to get over aggressive and be willingly in position to get caught in order to land something else. Or he just ain't defensively sound enough to put himself in the right defensive posture, overly relying on his speed to be able to succeed and get away with things, which to this extent has worked. Cool. Fine. Didn't work against the Eubanks fight in the first fight, but again, it's worked for the majority of his career, even without or even with or without the PEDs in the system, which again, he has popped dirt. But that's not going to work in this fight. That's not going to work. That's not going to work in this fight. Conor Benn and his speed are not going to be the thing that saves his ability or lack thereof against a better fighter. I can almost assure you. Conor Benn's speed is not going to be the thing to save him in this fight. It's all about the explosiveness that we've talked about. It's all about the quickness and the instantaneous ability and ferocity of Conor Benn that everybody's been lauded over, understandably so. But in the bigger spectrum of talent and the bigger spectrum of his own ability, we're looking at Conor Benn and saying, brother, you are at a disadvantage right now where literally everything is not in your favor. Literally everything. Actively everything. You're not the better puncher. You're not the faster fighter when it comes to getting shots off. You're not the taller fighter. You are potentially not even the smaller fighter or the smarter fighter in this fight. You're not the most accomplished. You're not the most experienced from the perspective of talent inside the ring. And you are not the fighter that you used to be. Your prime is waning. Ryan's prime is literally right now. There is a top to bottom perspective everything about this fight between Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn, there is almost no advantages for Conor Benn. None. None. None at all. We've had, and if I can find the clip, we've had a fighter say, Teofimo Lopez has been saying, yeah, I think Conor Benn will beat Ryan Garcia. That's cool. If you think that, that's perfectly fine. I've yet to hear a concrete reason as to why. I've yet to hear a concrete reason as to what is one thing that Conor Benn can do that can take advantage of the inability of Ryan Garcia, when most of Conor Benn's ability has been predicated on explosiveness. And last time we saw Ryan Garcia, again, losing, which he lost to Rolly Romero, yeah, it was due to patience. Absolutely, Rolly Romero elevated his game and became a smarter, more methodical fighter. But at the same breath, his hands was injured. When he had both hands healthy, all of a sudden he looked eerily similar to what we saw when he fought against Devin Haney. Yes, he did pop dirty for that fight. We're just talking about the performance. Looking at it, he looked back to a prime form. Oh, it was the right hand that was to some degree hurt, as well as training with Benavidez, David Benavidez, training with Benavidez Sr., and the whole Benavidez camp has unlocked an offensive output that is more than just a left hook. He has elevated his game. He's elevated his ability. Ryan Garcia, without question, is turning into a better fighter than he's been. I don't think that's a bad thing to say. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. And if you don't agree, I mean, it's perfectly fine, but tell me where he hasn't improved. Tell me where he hasn't improved. Where has he not gotten better in a way that, to be honest, if he wasn't, there would have been a real opportunity that, hey, would have lost to Mario Barrios. Not because Mario Barrios is so great, but some of those flaws would have showed up in Ryan Garcia immensely in that fight. But no, he has actively gotten better. We have seen Conor Benn regress while we've seen Ryan Garcia reach the closest to the pinnacle of his current landscaping career. No, not even the closest. We've seen Conor Benn regress in his career off the backs of the best win of his career from Conor Benn and Eubanks to Conor Benn and Regis Prograis. Regression. Ryan Garcia, we've seen him reach the pinnacle of his current landscape and talent at this stage in his career, from Devin Haney to Ryan Garcia, and then subsequently now with Mario Barrios. This is a big problem for Conor Benn that I do not have a whole lot of hope in my mind that we're going to be able to see him succeed. I don't. If you want to say I'm wrong, please enlighten me. I can't see nothing going great for Conor Benn. And I'm excited to see this type of fight go through for two reasons. One, trash talk's going to be incredible. It will. People are going to sell it out simply because it's in Las Vegas. Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn are going to make viral moments left, right, and center. Most likely somebody's going to swing on somebody before the fight even happens. I can guarantee you that. All of that's going to take place. So that's going to make it an interesting build-up. The fight itself, we're going to see Conor Benn attempt to be aggressive, I promise you. And if he gets caught by not just the left hook, it could be the straight right hand. It could be the straight up 1-2 when Ryan Garcia is closing the distance, putting Conor Benn on the back foot where, with all due respect to him, that's not where he wants to fight as his main antithesis of game plan. And he could hurt him and rock him and potentially put him down there. And the third thing, this sets up still the trajectory for the biggest fight that we want for Ryan Garcia, which is potentially Devin Haney. Because Devin Haney right now is potentially in a not even rocking a hard place, is in a tale of two cities when it comes to going and fighting either Shakur Stevenson or Devin Haney, or Devin Haney versus Keyshawn Davis. Any of those two fights are potentially still on the table. Yes, Shakur signed with Zuffa. Absolutely. Right now, reports are saying Devin Haney is still in line to potentially try to make that fight with Shakur Stevenson if something else moves, as reportedly it is a weight clause issue. That is the only reason that fight isn't a fight that wants to be made. Again, Shakur Stevenson said publicly he wanted to have Devin Haney and Tank Davis as people that he wants to fight while under Zuffa. He wants the big names. We covered that last week. He wants the big competition. We covered that last week. He wants to have, not undisputed, but he wants to have the names of fighters as his biggest focus at this point in his career. Which, that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. With that will come titles naturally, because most of those names have a belt. So we're excited for it. I digress. That fight between Devin Haney and Shakur, or Devin Haney and Keyshawn Davis, all would most likely take place at 147, whichever one would actually be agreed on. Since that's the case, Ryan Garcia beats Conor Benn, Devin Haney beats one of the two, Shakur or Keyshawn. If that fight comes to fruition, most likely it looks like it's going to be Keyshawn Davis. That is the next fight for him. Then, if Devin Haney wins, now it's a perfect setup to get the magnum opus fight that we've been waiting for. Ryan, Devin Haney, rematch against each other for the unified 147-pound championship. And that just ticks all the boxes. It ticks every box. It's everything that we want. It's the literal perfect storm. We even covered this over a couple of months ago, saying there's a world where Ryan at 147 and Devin Haney at 147 collide with each other after one or two fights. Ryan wins the title. Ryan gets another big fight, potentially against Conor Benn, as at that point in time it was on the table, but it wasn't necessarily likely, but possible. And if it did come down, it could be a legitimate thing to help further the implications of star power, notoriety, hype, and buzz. And all Devin Haney had to do is just beat and defend his belt in that same year. Next thing you know, we have ourselves a perfect storm for a fight either in January or in December. Most likely now with Ryan Garcia fighting Conor Benn in September, it'll most likely be in January, February, early March even. But it's there. It's there for that. It's there for the taking. Because of that, that's why I'm excited. Because what the future can hold. And what the future can hold for this fight is an exciting endeavor. Oh, yes, indeed. And I can't wait for it. I can't wait for it, man. It's going to be so exciting. I cannot wait to see how these fights unfold. Again, I still want to hear your thoughts and opinions on how you feel about Conor Benn versus Ryan Garcia. In fact, I actually need to put out a poll about this whole situation of a fight. Let me see. Let me put out a poll real quick because I wanted to see how the public would view this. There we go. Let me see how the public votes. We're going to put out a poll. As while we're talking through the show, we're going to put out a poll to see how the public may be viewing this fight as a whole and what they may think is going to go down and who they will pick to win outright in victory. As we're still discussing this, we got more stuff to cover in the world of boxing that we do want to make sure we don't miss out on. Like, well, we can actually go a number of ways. We can either go Conor Benn, more Conor Benn versus Garcia talk, or we can delve into some talk with Shakur Stevenson in his career at 147, or it's not 147, excuse me. I'm already thinking that he's going to be going up to fight. Actually, no. You know what? Let's actually talk about Shakur. Perfect segue. We're not trying to make this just a Shakur-themed show all the time. It's just the fact that he is also in the cycle of some of the biggest news in boxing right now. And it would be remiss if we didn't cover certain aspects of it, like what he had like what he had said in an interview with Errol Awani, talking about this very fight, Devin Haney and Shakur potentially going and being able to have their opportunity to face off against each other. He went on Errol Awani's show and had some opportunities to say his own piece about, while he's under this Zuffa deal, what he is going to do about some of these names that everybody's been asking about. And if you don't believe me, I will let him tell you for himself as we transition over into picture and picture.
When your debut for them will be?
I'm thinking like around like October.
Okay, and have they told you who the opponent is yet?
They want Devin. They want Devin, as far as I know. If they want Devin, I'm down.
Okay, that would be incredible. What weight would the Devin fight be at?
144 is what we talked about.
And have you agreed to it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Sure.
Have you signed?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
Okay, and has he?
Oh, I don't know on his part.
Wait, so you signed a contract to fight Devin Haney in October?
I was told that, I'm not going to say signed, but I definitely verbally agreed that we're going to be fighting in October. And I told them, put my part down.
When your debut for them?
So, as you can see, a little bit of different verbiage at the end of that clip, but regardless of which, Zuffa wants Devin Haney and Shakur as the first fight that we see Shakur Stevenson have. Again, this is big. This is huge. This is interesting because this is the struggle going against Zuffa as a whole. Can they get the big fights? Can they make the big fights happen? And specifically, can we have the likes of Shakur be able to work with the other promoters and promotions around the boxing globe when we are viewing them as potentially, hey, stuff isn't shaking. Stuff ain't going down. We may not want to work with you as a whole. Now that we've gotten this straightened out, or at least from the standpoint of Shakur's own words, he, in October, verbally agreed to getting a fight with Shakur and Devin Haney going down. Again, he said he signed, then changed and said, I more so verbally agreed, put my part down, I'm ready to have that fight at 144 for that catchweight. Now, other side of the spectrum was Devin Haney, what Bill Haney was saying, he never signed a thing. We're ready to do it. He hasn't put his pen on paper that he wants this fight done, full stop. And until then, we're going to entertain the likes of Keyshawn Davis and others as well. Mind you, with all of this, they are still under a mandatory mandate by the WBO. The current belt that Devin Haney has, WBO title, is the championship that is the number that is in position to be fought for by Keyshawn Davis. Keyshawn Davis got named the number one contender at 147 pounds to fight for the WBO title that Devin Haney currently holds. If Keyshawn Davis is not given that opportunity to fight, it could be a situation where Devin Haney will get stripped of his title and Keyshawn will be champion. Because that mandate, you got, was it 180 days or 90 days to agree to something going down, or we got to take the belt off you. With all of this going into the wheel, that's what Zuffa wants. They'll be willing to get it. They're actively playing ball. It's just a matter of when will stuff actually shake up. And I'm not one for we talk about the fights on this show. We mainly keep with when it comes to the in-ring action of the world of boxing. This is what we normally try to keep with. We don't try to mess with the other business dealings as much, not because they're not important. Most of the public here, y'all care about who's gonna win, who would be who. But this is important, the business side. This is what helps to goad the next steps in where this sport's going to go. And specifically right now, Benn versus not Benn. I don't know why I keep saying Benn. Shakur versus Haney is a fight that is a potential, real, tangible ability to happen. It is. I even said this, I think yesterday, or at least last week, one of the two. Tank versus Shakur is a fight that would be the biggest fight out there. But Tank versus Shakur is the least likely fight to happen. Devin versus Shakur has almost every side done that we want this to go and take place. Zupa's on board, Dana White's on board, Shakur's on board, Devin Haney is on board as well. We just need, again, pen to paper, and then we can make stuff shake. Shakur, based on his own words of what he said, hasn't done that response yet. Now, why? I'm not exactly sure. Why, when we talked about the business of boxing and what this fight would mean, this is the fight that you want based on your own words, and everybody around you is also saying this is what we want. Y'all under the same boat. You agreed to the 144-pound thing. Devin Haney said we can fight at 144. Everything seems to be going good. But again, stuff is still holding up for Shakur not to sign pen to paper. What does that hold up? It most likely is, like what was reported, the rehydration clause. Most likely. Most likely. Almost assuredly, it's the rehydration clause that Shakur still is not privy to not having on the night of this fight. 144 will agree to it, but now you can't rehydrate above what? 10 pounds or 5 pounds, whatever the case it may be. That's what the running rumor mill is for multiple sources as to why he hasn't put pen to paper and said, yeah, verbally I agree, but I haven't signed outright yet. That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're waiting on. That's what we're banking on as potentially we will get in the coming weeks. Yeah, it's signed, it's sealed. Ryan versus Conor Benn in September, and then after that, maybe in the same month, Shakur versus Devin Haney in November or December, or shoot in late September. It could happen this year, but it's right there. It's just a matter of will Shakur say yes or no. But if he does say yes, great, phenomenal. It fits the bill. If he doesn't, we're still looking for where he's going to go. Because we were also saying that Shakur was going to fight Conor Benn, and now that fight just ain't happening at all. Because Conor Benn is now signed with Ryan Garcia. So who else is there for Shakur to want to fight that fits the bill of the biggest names that are on the table for him to want to actually discuss and getting in the ring with? Because everybody might not be big enough for Shakur to actually step in the ring with. That's another thing that we need to discuss in the world. Let me check out this. I'm trying to make sure I got this title right, so I'm not having you all just flying blind, not knowing what we got and what we're discussing. There we go. Okay, just had to make sure everything was looking good. But Shakur versus Haney is still a big time topic. Shakur versus everybody right now, I think we should start entertaining, because if this fight doesn't fall through, Devin Haney fights against Keyshawn Davis instead. And he takes that mandatory fight because stuff just ain't shaking on Shakur's end for wanting to put pen to paper. What is next for Shakur? Because we don't know who he's going to fight. Based on his own words, championships are not the biggest thing that he's wanting. It is the names. And because of that statement, this conversation gets a little bit different, a whole lot different, when we're looking at how in the world we're going to see Shakur work in these divisions in general. How we're going to see him work again against who if we don't know who he's going to fight. And if the people that we can say he will fight are not fit in the same breath of notoriety that he said he wants to have. This is why I'm concerned that we might not get the fight with Murataya. Shakur versus Murataya at 135, which he has said, yeah, I want to have it. I'm down for it. Murataya sent him the contract. Murataya is the champion. Murataya is one of the more entertaining fighters at 135 pounds. However, Murataya might not get that fight to happen, because Murataya might not be a big enough name for Shakur to say, yeah, I want the names of the elites of the elites. Because the examples that he brought up of the people that he wants to fight, Devin Haney, Tank Davis. Now, those are some of the best in the world. We're not saying everybody is that. I understand. What I'm saying is that puts a threshold to some degree on the expectation of the caliber of names with this deal that he signed with Zuffa that he is only looking for. Weeding out some level of competition for who gets the claim to his fame in this position in boxing. It's the truth. It's good to, I'm not trying just to make up some serious. We've seen this happen before. People that are deserving, that are not big enough, they don't get the opportunity because we're looking for the biggest cash cows. And right now, Murray may not fit that bill. Shoot, Abdullah Mason, we want to see that fight. That might not fit that bill right now. He's one of the hottest names that we have in the sport of boxing at 135 pounds. It might narrow the field a little bit for who the public may see who they want to see fight. Also, before I even continue, we got paid today, like with Matt Borgenson. Matt, how you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on the show. Thank you for tuning in, showing up, and showing out on our live stream today. We appreciate you and salute to you and everybody else who's coming through on the show. We appreciate the alms to the Empire with the $5 super chat on the show, without question, making our day and helping us get some money. And we appreciate and love it so much. Let me see what you had to say on our show today. And hopefully you're having a wonderful day. And everybody else in chat is having a wonderful day. Nobody gives Murray credit for winning. Nobody gives Murray credit for that win against Cruz. Honestly, he beat him convincingly too. I don't even think Shakur would have done it that easily. That's fair to say. Now, do I think he would have beaten him I think he would have beaten him in a more defensive dominant fashion. I will say that, but I can agree also, Murataya winning against Andy Cruz in the way that he did, yeah, it was convincing. It was a great fight. It was a competitive fight. It was an argument for a fight of the year. But guess what? It wasn't a doubt. Murataya should have won that fight. He did it handily in terms of, more than enough. Everything about that performance was phenomenal. He does not get the credit that he should for the level of real elite ability that he showed against Andy Cruz. You are absolutely right about that. You're absolutely right. It's not fair. We tried to say that this brother was doing all that in a bag of chips because he was. And I'm not going to mince words when we were saying this was impressive. This put a spotlight on Murataya that had me saying, brother, everybody at 135, Abdullah Mason or otherwise, y'all better be afraid of this cat. Because to beat Andy Cruz and outbox him as well as being able to outpunish him was something to me. Good gosh. Everybody ain't built to do that. Legit. And he deserves to be one of the most dangerous champions out there. Without question. What is in question, though? Did that win build him up enough to make it so that he's worth Zuffa and Shakur throwing money his way and say that's the name that we want? Again, I am not going off of the personnel or the personal intrigue of the wider public audience, because everybody's got a different feeling as to who is or is not a big name. Based on Shakur's own words, he is saying he doesn't care about championships, he just wants the names. Because of that fact, I have to look at Murataya as a question for if he can get this fight, because we don't know if Shakur sees him as a notable name that is worth his time. It's not fair because he should be worth his time. He's more than worth his time. For those that know, he's more than worth his time being a fighter in boxing, without question. But though I want that to be the case, it's just the fact that Shakur's own words have me having to ask this about all of the potential competitors that he can face off against. Whether it's Floyd Schofield, whether it's Abdullah Mason, again, whether it is A Tank Davis, a Devin Haney, a Ryan Garcia, a Gary Antoine Russell, a Dalton Smith. He's still a 140-pound champion, even though he's with Zuffa. They don't really have a bunch of 140-pounders. So there's still a whole swath of competition that is literally untouched by Shakur and Zuffa as a whole. And he might not go after any of them. None of them. Simply because the biggest names are the only thing he cares about. We would assume that comes with titles naturally, with the people that he named with like Tank or Devin Haney. Perfectly fine. But on the greater scale, if you don't get one of those two, well, who you gonna get? That fits that mentality. We thought it was Conor Benn, remember? When we were talking about that would be a fight that could happen to set up the fight with Devin Haney or some other way. But now he's with Ryan Garcia. So we got to say now Ryan Garcia's locked up. Conor Benn's locked up. Devin Haney might be fighting Keyshawn Davis instead. If everything else falls out, what are you and Zuffa going to do to get a fight done in your division? Yeah, Valenzuela. Absolutely. But again, if Shakur's looking for the biggest fight, does he want to fight Valenzuela as the first option? When it seems like Devin Haney is the number one choice for him right now and for Zuffa right now, based on what we just saw on the interview with Errol Hawani. And Shakur saying that's the fight that me and Zuffa all want together. That's the question. That's what I'm asking. That can be a major concern. But let me see what you all have to say still. And also, Matt Borgeson, thank you again for another $5 super chat on the show. Yes, indeed, we appreciate your alms to the Empire and support to the channel and helping us to grow as a conglomerate all across the globe. We appreciate it oh so much. But let me keep on reading what you had to say. Nobody going to fight him, though. Too risky. Dark horse of the boxing world right now. Might be the darkest horse, and I don't mean his skin. And yeah, he might be in terms of the threat level. See, and it's not Murataya might just have to go on a highlight streak to go and earn that level of clout and respect necessary. Because at this point in time, you're right. You're right, and I can't even call him a dark horse because he is a champion. Who he beat brought him out of that shadow at 135. But that's where the buck stopped. This is the biggest thing that we need to understand when it comes to Shakur and anybody in the realm of boxing as a whole. As a sport, your goal as a fighter is to transcend your division. Murataya hasn't done that. Shakur Stevenson has done that. Murataya at 135 is one of the best fights anybody can make, without question. But Murataya above 135 isn't seen in that same level of respect because he isn't built in that same monolith where your obelisk of greatness casts a shadow that other lands and other houses around the area are forced to have to see. That's the struggle. Murataya just got to that point where all of a sudden, for many people, Murataya was unknown. People knew more about Andy Cruz than they knew about Murataya, at least when, in my experience, looking at the landscape of boxing. So because of that, when he beat Andy Cruz, it was an upset. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Shock and awe. For a lot of people, we didn't know this cat was like that. Many people hadn't even heard of the brother. They hadn't heard of him at all. And because they hadn't heard of him, guess what? They didn't necessarily care. Or didn't, oh, this could be a good fight. I hope it is. I don't know the brother. Now that he's known, this track of widening your reach, it starts now. Because you're a champion, you're one of the three best in the division, but you just popped on the scene. That's the thing. We want to be perfectly honest, the same thing happens with Lamont Roach right now. Lamont Roach was unknown for a large majority of boxing fans as casual audiences. He was champion at 130, moved up to 135, what was supposed to be a literal walk in the park for Tank turned into a draw that should have been a loss for Tank Davis. And Lamont Roach got on the map. After that, now, his run to being notarized and being able to transcend the divisions in his own respect in the boxing world. Then it started. Drew against Tank. Drew against Isaac Cruz. Now he's fighting William Zepeda, and people are saying, yeah, he should beat William Zepeda. If he beats William Zepeda, now we can set him up for, okay, at 135 or even at 140, we could see some stuff shake up. Lamont Roach versus O'Shaquie Foster. We would, if Shock does move up, we would love to see that fight. A rematch. We still want to see that rematch. Lamont Roach at 140, potentially for a title. If somebody vacates, drops, or he just straight up says, give me Antoine Russell or somebody up there, I wouldn't be upset with potentially seeing that happen, because now I got the respect and notoriety that I can believe in this brother, and I know this brother throughout divisions. Risk reward. And again, Marquavis, how you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on the show. Thank you for showing up on the live stream, and we appreciate you joining in on our humble abode of a community. But let me see. He's high risk, low reward. He is. He is. High risk, low reward. High risk, low reward. But he just got here to where he can start to make his name known where the risk matches the reward. That's the thing. That's the struggle. And that's why I'm concerned we won't get that fight with Muay and Shakur. If this is the frame of thinking that Shakur is talking. Because if that's the case, and Shakur is saying big names, and the examples of big names are not champions, but straight up name names only. Devin Haney, Tank, and others of that same barometer. Well, it's not many that are in that vicinity. But that's where he wants to only fight. And it kind of tracks the three biggest names that have either been in the ring with him or are on the table to fight with him have been Teofimo Lopez, who he beat, and now Devin Haney, who's been almost agreed to, unless that weight class thing doesn't happen. But Devin Haney, Tank Davis, that's three. Keyshawn Davis, who he won't fight, but he's still in the same vicinity of name. And it's right there. And subsequently, because of that, Ryan Garcia will almost assuredly be in that conversation as, that might be a name that we can get into. Conor Benn was even a more substantial name that we were teasing. We could see that happen in this run of Zuffa boxing that Shakur is in. Because the name, like he said, the risk is worth the reward. And it transcends the divisions of intrigue that we see with Conor Benn. That's the only gripe that Muay does not have, or that Muay has on him. He doesn't transcend to that level of multi-division notoriety. And that's what Tank's looking for. Not Tank. That's what Shakur is looking for. And I want to see that fight. Without a doubt, I want to see that fight. I just wish it wasn't that type of struggle. I wish it wasn't. But in all honesty, the whole point of this conversation, again, we're wrapping this point up. But the whole point of this conversation was to ask, if we don't get Shakur Devin Haney, what is the next step for Zuffa to do and for Shakur to do? If Muay is too high and too low of a risk, if Conor Benn is locked up with Ryan Garcia, if Devin Haney does indeed go and sign with Keyshawn Davis, that's the three biggest likely situations that we could see. And if Muay isn't big enough, then we would also have to ask, is El Rayo big enough of a name to go and take on a fight? High risk, high reward. With people thinking in Shakur's mindset, we would say there's a story behind that. There's Ryo beat De Los Santos. De Los Santos, hardest fight of Shakur's career thus far. Made him worse. Caused Shakur to have the worst fight of his career. He knocks him out. He got revenge on De Los Santos for knocking him out. Now you get the chance to fight him. Everything seems to be on board. At the same breath, is El Rayo fitting the bill of this is worth my time, even though it's under the Zuffa banner? Because Shakur, he's making demands. Whether we want to agree with it or not, he's making demands. Dana White's not going to be able to control him just to fight whoever he says to fight, like he's been able to do with other UFC fighters and other boxers as a whole. Specifically because we now got to see Shakur Stevenson be able to control his own ability to wear what he wants to wear under Zuffa. If you don't believe me, I'll let him tell you himself. As he was, again, in an interview with Errol talking about his position in boxing and being able to do what he wants while under the banner of Zuffa. Specifically, I'm not going to wear your uniform. Trying to make sure everything's up to snow. Hold on. Well, let's make it a little bit lower. Just for a second to make sure everything's going through. Here we go. Y'all can see it. You all can't see it. I'm going to play the clip now.
There's a million questions I have here. I'm fascinated by this, Shakur. I saw a photo shoot, you in the back after signing, and you're wearing the Zuffa gear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you now going to be wearing a uniform when you fight?
Nah, not at all. I'm gonna be putting on my own uniforms, and they may like help out or something if they on the designs if they want. But as far as like me, I'm putting on my own uniform. I already made that established when I talked with them.
Okay, I got to be honest. I was a bit devastated when I saw the video.
Yeah, that was like one of the first things I said, but. Man, I can't say nothing against like what they like. They like what they like. I like what I like. That's all.
But your gear is always so cool and it's personal, and you show, look at this. We can't stray away from this.
Nah, not at all. Not at all.
Okay. So that's one thing that a lot of people were concerned about. There's a million questions.
And again, it was a concern because it would show lack of individuality and show there's a level of power and control Zuffa can have over what you do as an individual brand of fighter, which would also dictate we can control who you go fight and how your career can go in a good or bad sense, depending on how we see with Dana White matchmaking and going through and guiding careers that are under his stable. This is important because of this. This also makes me think, or at least has me asking, can Shakur still do what he wants to do, regardless of if the fights that they want to make happen don't happen? Because there is a world where he just says, El Rayo, I'm not going to fight him. I'm not, because he's not worth it. And if they already capitulated to giving him his clothes, which again, I'm happy with, I want this. And then it's going to say, well, this is what we got. We'll do something else. Rules within, not for me, but it's going to be a different world with UFC fighters and boxers, especially top tier level boxers, who can say what they want to do and how they want to go about their stuff. It's a different world. And all of this, again, is revolving around the same issue. If the fail-safe drops out, where else is he going to go? In terms of who else is he going to fight to fit his standard of what he asked for. That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying it's going to be outright. I'm just saying it's food for thought to have as we continue to go forward and talk about the world of boxing. Let me see. MS, how you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on the show. Thank you for showing up, showing out, and tuning in to our show today. Again, if you're here, please leave a like on the video. Keep on liking your thoughts. Keep on commenting your thoughts and opinions. We want to hear from you in every facet of life and conversation. Hopefully you're having a great day. Hopefully we're making your day a little bit brighter, a little bit better, a little bit more inspirational with our excitement, our energy, our fire, our fervor, and our y'all were absolute hype talking about the world of boxing and beyond. But let me keep on reading your thoughts and opinions. If Shakur is already boring to many fans, he's going to be even more boring over at Zuffa, wearing the plain Zuffa uniform and without unique branding for Shakur. And again, we don't have to put the branding issue for Shakur. We can put that to bed. Again, you might just tune in, but we just had a clip being shown. We got Shakur wearing what he wants to wear. Now, we're not trying to make this a fashion show, but this is not innocuous to not talk about. This is not just mundane information. I had said last week, watch what happens in the coming months with how Shakur Stevenson is going to go about his operating with Zuffa and what he is going to be able to do that other fighters, both in the UFC and other fighters under the Zuffa banner, have not been able to do. Jaya Pataya can't wear his own stuff. John Jones can't wear his own stuff. Paddy Pimblett can't wear his own stuff. Most of the UFC world, even at the highest of heights, can't wear their own. Shoot, even Conor McGregor had to wear Zuffa clothing. Or UFC branded clothing under the UFC banner. And we've seen every boxer, Errol, De Los Santos, Richardson, Hitchens, everybody under Zuffa wear Zuffa apparel all throughout their uniform, bland colors and all. Shakur said from the jump, if I sign with you, that's not what we're doing. The promotional stuff, I'll wear it. After that, I'm done. You can have input, sure. I'm wearing my own thing. We even brought this up because we were saying that Shakur is going to need his own gloves because of his hands, because they can be brittle. He wants to make sure he has everything where he can survive his boxing life for as long as possible. There were rules broken in Zuffa for Shakur. And because of that, he's got power in this whole stable that nobody else in the boxing world under Zuffa has. None. The simple fact that he's able to wear what he wants to wear in terms of Shakur Stevenson having the power to say, I'm not wearing your uniform. I'm not wearing Zuffa clothing. I'm going to wear what I want to wear, gives me most of the information I need to see when we talk about rules for thee and not for me. He is the not for me. And because he's the not for me, there's going to be a lot of capitulations being made for Shakur to do stuff that other people just wouldn't be able to get away with at all because they're not Shakur. They're not big enough. Because they're not big enough, guess what that means? Shakur most likely won't waste time with anybody else that's not on his same freedom of level. Which means most of Shakur's fights, if this does go that route, most likely will be out of house. Because that's what he wants to have. Fighters, all the fighters that he wants are not with Zuffa at all. Again, it's a shame. Because he didn't need to not sign with Zuffa. He didn't need to sign with them. He didn't need to go away when everybody else all went to the same place. He bucked the system and bucked the trend. He didn't need to do that. But he did it. He wanted to take a chance. And again, credit to Showbiz the Adult. He brought up this good point that I'm going to use. Again, it's not my point, but it's worthwhile saying again. He said, this same thing happened to Terrence Crawford. And when I look back, it's right. Terrence Crawford signed with Bob Arum. He said he took a chance and he wanted to get all the big fights that he wants. I'm going to be able to get everything that I desire. Then, Bob Arum couldn't deliver on no big-time fight, specifically the Errol Spence fight that Crawford had been looking for. There were some good fights, yes, but not the Spence fight that Crawford wanted the entire time. And after that, he said, Bob Arum can't do this. Why in the world would I want to be with him anymore? I'm gone. And that whole drama and breakup took place. He took a chance. He got on the wrong side of the street And because of that, he was isolated from the rest of the globe for a mighty long time, specifically when it came to being able to get the big fight that he wanted, a magnum opus, the coup de grace of his career at that point in time, which was Errol Spence. And if Shakur does want to have this fight with Devin Haney, any of those fights with any of the other bigger names, like with Tank Davis, like with even Ryan Garcia, if that ever comes to fruition down the line, sure, Zuffa's willing to work with other people now, as we saw with Conor, Benn, and Ryan Garcia. Even with that, Ryan Garcia said in his own social media post, hey, brother, nobody wanted to work with these people, and it was a hard situation, but we found a way to make it work. Credit to my team, because we doing stuff that for other people, it seemed almost impossible. It's still a gap. It's still a stronghold of struggle that is pushing back against Zuffa. That it could fall on Shakur, coupled with the fact it doesn't help that Shakur is considered, quote unquote, a boring fighter. We can get into being a boring fighter in a little bit. I don't agree with that, but we can get into it without a doubt. We can get into that conversation. But because of that moniker, guess what? It may be, especially with Benavidez leading the way, Boots leading the way, and people wanting to follow that type of exciting example of competition. All of a sudden, people are looking and saying, or on the other side of the street may say, hey, you know what? Shakur can make my fighter who's at the top of his game look bad as we're in the same monolith as everybody else. Do I want one of my biggest cash cows under my stable while in the midst of the biggest conglomerate that we had seen in recent years where everybody's with each other and can make money? Do I want that ruined by taking a fight with somebody that isn't even with us, that can make my fighter look bad, and now his stock has dropped to the point that I don't have nearly the same leverage even though we're all in the same house? Do I want to risk that? Maybe not. So, maybe I don't pursue in the same way. Devin Haney, yeah, sure, he can do that. Tank, sure, he can do that. But everybody else might not be the same way. Might not be. From a promoter standpoint, again, thinking out loud. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. Just thinking in the throes of situations that can occur. Because of what we've seen before. Terrence Crawford was a big risk for many people, and he was always an all-time great. However, he was never big enough to fight Errol Spence Jr. up until he was literally the last two people standing. And he beat most people. He beat the same opponents that Errol Spence beat in quicker fashion. It took that to finally get that fight to take place. And everybody else, broken over the bones, broken faces, KO after KO after KO. It took 16 straight knockouts and going undefeated in welterweight while being exciting to be big enough to have the capacity to belong in the ring with Errol Spence at that point in time. It took 16 straight KOs. And literally never having a fight at welterweight that didn't end in a knockout. Was it three or was it over 3 years? I think it was 2016 to roughly 2023 when he was in welterweight. Every fight he won was by KO the second he got there. It took that type of historic level run to get an opportunity to fight Errol Spence, all because you weren't on the right side of the street. Now that's some mess. It is some mess. But that's what happened. And because that's what happened, that same thing can happen with Shakur. Whether we want to believe it or not, that's what can happen. And that's why I'm very scared. I'm very scared. Very concerned. Very concerned. That all this talk of we can get big time fights, it may not come to fruition. It might. It's a slim chance, but I can't say it's no chance because we've seen this type of same instance happen in the past with Crawford and Spence. I don't want that to happen again, but this is why I'm so concerned. Shakur's drive, Shakur's vision, Zuffa's drive, Zuffa's vision, and the rest of the boxing landscape are not aligned in a way that this is going to be easy just to get stuff done. This is a chance that can backfire, and it's not even with somebody that is reputable enough in Zuffa or Dana White to have the leverage to push these negotiations one way or the other. That's what I'm concerned about. I think it's valid concern, but it's concern nonetheless. And if this goes wrong, me asking where is he going to go, it's legitimate. Because you're saying he's a boring fighter. And if he's a boring fighter with a fighter that people don't want to see, what does that do for him? If he's a boring fighter, when he's in the ring with a fighter that nobody really wants to see in the ring with him, what does that do for him? What does that do for him? I'm not comparing him to Mike Tyson, where you had to tune in every single week, no matter who he went up against, because the way he was putting people to sleep was so incredible. It just always captured the imagination. I'm not saying that. He's not that. I'm not saying Sugar Ray Leonard, where you're going to see a paintbrush of excellence just across the canvas with how beautiful he can fight. I'm not calling him that. But I am saying what draws people to Shakur right now is the biggest of matchups that we can see. But for many, it's not the style that he fights, because they keep calling him boring. And be clear, that's a great way to go into the next segment. Is this brother boring at all? In your mind. Is he boring or is he not boring? And in fact, I'm actually going and do a new poll so we can see exactly what the answer is. And people were saying, and before I go and do that, Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn, who wins? 60% of you all, 60 to 75% of you all got Conor Benn losing to Ryan Garcia. I agree with that sentiment entirely. And again, we will wrap back to that conversation. But let me pull out another poll real quick as we transition into the next topic of discussion on the show. And going into, is Shakur a boring fighter? Also, Shakur is more exciting than Devin Haney. Hey, look, Beach Skull, how you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on our show. Thank you for showing up and tuning in to the Welch Report with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. Hopefully you're leaving a like on the stream. Hopefully you keep on sharing the show. And if you want to support the channel, again, we got Cash App, PayPal, links down below in the description. Super chat, super gift, stickers, and the like, all for your, if you can, all for you to give to the show and help us to go and edify and make it better, invest back into the show, as well as to pay some bills, because you know we gotta go and be able to live and thrive and survive, trying to make some generational wealth. Hey, y'all can make it possible. Y'all can make it possible if you want to support the channel. But we're like PBS, we're made possible by viewers like you. But we just appreciate you joining in. And please share the show. Keep on sharing the live stream. Share this channel with everybody that you know. Even if they don't watch boxing, I guarantee you they will be entertained and they will enjoy everything we got going on right here on the Welch Report. But let me see. Shakur is more exciting than Devin Haney. Is that true or is that false in some people's eyes? Let's ask that reaction as we change gears into our topic of the day. Is Shakur? You'll ask that. Hold on. Wait a minute. Is Shakur boring? Oh, hold on. Oh no. Oh, it's going off the screen. Oh no. Wait, it's going off the screen. Hold on. Let's get everything leveled again. See, this is why this is the art of on the fly adjustments. I ain't got no other team, just me by myself. But either way, here's the question. Is Shakur a boring fighter for the fans to see? Or is he actually exciting? Now, with this question of conversation, it's got a bunch of different ways we can look at it. Because I said he's not a boring fighter. I did. But I said that with the pretense of I'm with the technical ability for those that know what they're seeing is incredible to watch. This isn't belittling, oh, you don't know boxing like me. No, I'm not saying that. Everybody knows boxing in a phenomenal way, in their own way. We're all growing in this sport together. Hopefully, we're helping you to go and grow even more, or at least give new perspectives on the way that you look at the sport. Hey, hopefully. But the biggest thing is, fans know what they're seeing, and they know what's fun, and they know what's good. Quality can be quality, even if it's not the same level of excitement all the time. That is true. Quality can be quality, even if it's not the same outright oohs and ahs that we've seen from other situations in the fight game. Shakur is not a boring fighter to me because of the technical stuff that he can do. And when he does put his stuff together, genuinely, offensively, he can be very fun to watch. We saw it with the Teofimo Lopez fight. We saw it when he fought against Harvartunian, when he could have knocked him out, even though he didn't in the later stage of the fight. Okay, he was trying to put some stuff together that had me saying, hey, there's something there. When his hands are healthy, yeah, he knocked out Josh Padley. We don't rate that knockout incredibly highly from the standpoint of, yeah, he was ranked top 10, but also Padley wasn't able to fully commit himself up until afterwards. And then we saw it become, credit to him, great story. Main thing is, while to me, Shakur is not necessarily boring because of the technical work I see, I'm not going to lie and say that he's not boring to the vast populace around the globe. Because to most people, that's what he is. That's what he is. Is it fair? I'm not sure. But this is what the public sentiment. And I'm even play that clip of Shannon Sharp. If I can, hopefully I can. I'm going to play that clip of Shannon Sharp talking and going back and forth with Shakur about being boring or not boring. So you can kind of see where this whole discourse is really crescendoed at this point in time, the zenith of his career. But let me go and put out this poll. Excuse me, let me go and put out this poll real quick so we can have this question asked to the masses around the globe, and we want to hear your thoughts and opinions. Let me see. We got paid again. Matt Borgeson, how you doing? We appreciate you on the show once again, and thank you for the $2 super chat on the day. We appreciate it oh so much, and we never take for granted the support, the love, and the absolute passion that you bring to the show as you continue to give all to the Empire. And if anybody else wants to, you can still give and support this channel with any amount. Helps us to go and make this show better. And we appreciate every single one of you all that do. It means the world to me without question. And I don't take it for granted. Trust me, I don't take it for granted. I'm one of these people that go through and say, $2, $1.50, it ain't enough, brother, anything. I'll take what I can get at this point. I'm trying to be a big time, I would love to do this for a living. I want this to be my job. I would love to do this for multiplicity of sports. But it's all about you, the fans. We're going to give you entertainment worthy of your shekels to the channel, worthy of your doubloons to the Empire. And if you do see it fit, we appreciate whatever you can give. And just you being here is enough. Because trust me, you could be anywhere else. And I appreciate you all so much for choosing to listen to our live. And hopefully, I can keep on entertaining you as we continue to talk and discuss. But let me see what you all got to say. Isn't it crazy? Hold on. Isn't it crazy? One performance judges a fighter. And yes, but there's it is crazy. It is. There's a reason for it, though. Because we've said this in the past, boxers and boxing is a recency type of sport. What have you done for me lately is what predicates a boxer's identity for the immediate future for most fans, casual and even hardcore. But specifically for the whole, that's what sticks. One performance that sticks out like a sore thumb, good or bad, makes that the main thing that everybody remembers you for. Everybody remembers you for that. People still don't let Devin Haney live down what he did against Ryan Garcia and how he got beat, or in terms of how he got beat up. It was PEDs. It was. But they still don't let him live down that performance. They don't. People still hold the Canelo fight against Bivol against Canelo. People still hold Benavidez getting rocked by David Morrell against David Morrell even after he went and put out William Zepeda. The one thing that sticks with people. It's not fair. And most of the time it's because that was the biggest instance that somebody recognized who you are, and then when you didn't show up in that same way, oh, this brother ain't all that. See, I told you this was a flaw. When a bad thing happens that sticks out in justifying somebody's position, all of a sudden, that's the biggest thing that we can put on a billboard, because I told you I was right, that this brother isn't what you said he was, or this sister ain't what he said he was, or this problem that I said was a problem, I told you it's a problem. Even if he fixed it, it's still a problem, because look at what happened here. Growth doesn't matter. Evolution doesn't matter, or at least it doesn't matter as much, because it doesn't prove the point that I was right. It's not fair, but that's why it happens most of the time. It's a shame, but it's the truth, and hopefully we're trying to get around it. Let me see. When you have your talk show, I better get VIP. When you have your talk show, I better get VIP seats. Hey man, look, I don't remember who helped support this channel, and again, everybody we value just as much. You can't pay to get into the. Well, hold on. Well, actually, we may have to have a donors corner. That's a good segment. A donors corner. Oh man, maybe we should make some exclusivity. Separate the elites from the peons of the world. I'm just kidding. Please. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Well, I'm about to have class separation. We're about to have a class war going on. See, this is the fear of power. When you get to a point, all of a sudden now I'm making my own stuff crack up. Let me make sure we keep on going. Love and support to my Mount Rushmore of boxing content. Really? Wow, that is, man. Are you saying I'm there? I'm shocked. Thank you. My gosh, I did not think I was all that. I appreciate the well wishes and love. Mount Rushmore, that's a bold, that's a lot. But I've only been doing this for 2 years. Well, I guess, you know what that means? I guess I'm just that good, doggone it, like Triple H used to say. I guess my bad brother did. If I'm already at this point, oh Lord. But in all seriousness, we appreciate the well wishes, and I appreciate the sentiments and support. I'll keep trying to live up to this expectation every day that I can, because that's what you all deserve. I'm not going to be right all the time. Lord knows I don't know everything. I'm just going to try to give you the best ability to be entertained, have some fun, and hopefully drive some discourse that makes you feel more excited, not just about the sports world, but about life in general, and all manner of fun and entertainment, and makes your day a little bit better. So hey, if that's the case, I appreciate it so much. And again, we can't wait to see you all keep on showing up. And as we grow, we're going to be along for the ride to continue to elevate our empire all the way together. And we thank you so much. But anyway, also another $5 super chat by Matt Borges. Again, just absolutely throwing dollars everywhere today. We thank you so much for the $5 alms to the empire, and we appreciate the support. One bad performance versus Ryan Garcia, and suddenly Devin Haney isn't a legitimate bona fide champion. Could have been off night. All boxers have to. They do. They do. And again, be clear, it's also about the position of the fighter. Sometimes a fighter can have a bad performance, but because of who the public sees them as, it's not held up in the same way. Usyk sucked and was going to lose against Rico. It is not holding him back in the same way of one bad night like we've seen with others, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, and other people that have had losses on their resume. It ain't. It should be that loss that would have been a loss for Usyk against Rico if it wasn't for the knockout. That should have been one of the most hated on performances of any career in this generation, on par with Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou. Because they had no business struggling in the way that they did and nearly losing the fights that they nearly lost. No business at all. But it was washed away. All was forgiven, at least with Usyk. Not nearly the same vitriol for a sustained amount of time. I've heard more people say it's one bad night than I ever heard with any other fighter. Any of them. Tyson Fury got more flack than what we saw with Usyk. And Tyson Fury's fight was closer than the fight with Usyk and Rico. Rico and Usyk, that wasn't a close fight. Yet he got, it's just a bad night. It's whatever. He got soundly beat nearly every round up until he finally got the KO. It was bad. And he got a pass. The reputation, though, already established. So you don't look the same way. They don't hate Usyk like they hated Devin Haney, like they hated Ryan Garcia, like they hate other boxers around the globe, depending on how they feel from a fan to fan. That's why it doesn't stick the same way. Devin Haney, they despise him. So guess what? Yeah, you look at what happened. They don't like you. We don't like you and your dad. So guess what, brother? Every time, face down, butt up, headed in the canvas, that's what we're going to have as my profile picture. Because you suck. Regardless of anything else. We don't care about being undisputed. We don't care about you beating Lomachenko. No matter how controversial it was a fight of the year contender. We don't care about that. We don't care about you being one of the most accomplished boxers before the age of 30 that we have in the boxing world today. Consistently have been in the pound for pound rankings for a number of years. Have fought more competent competition than nearly all of your own cohorts that have been around the same divisions as you. Doesn't matter. Because we don't like you. The reputation of a fighter also affects the long-lasting sentiments of a bad night. It ain't fair, but that's what happens. Let me see. Chone, how you doing as well? Good to see you. We thank you so much for the support. We appreciate you being on the show with us today. What's up, man? Long time no see. Hey, man, look, I'm glad you're here. Long time no see, and we appreciate you joining back in. No matter how long you were away, we're just having you back, and we're just having you remember that, hey, this is a place where all are welcome, all are invited, and hopefully you're enjoying the show as we're going through and having a lot of fun. Let me see. I just do it because I love the sport and I have no incentive to get extras. But maybe I'm a psychopath. There's like a hidden agenda I don't even know about. But it's a super soldier. Let me see. I just think if you keep doing what you're doing, it'll do well. You just need to do more YouTube shorts that'll go viral. And look, and again, we're still on boxing content. Real quick, though, if we want to go with the content itself, doing shorts, I'm getting a better system. Other people, they got clippers, they got people that they're paying. Everything is in-house for me. So it's like, you're right, it would go a lot quicker, but also I'm a one-man band right now. So I gotta kind of, I got a better system. I got a better way to get more consistent stuff out. It's just between making the show, making the thumbnail, getting my time together, getting the notes together, making sure we're prepared for a week's worth of content, and then also being able to put up that content and cut it out. We're always trying to spend time with family, trying to make sure I actually have a life. It's, trying to have a balance. We're still working through, but again, it's the early days of a business. Don't worry. We're going to figure it out. And again, the support makes me want to keep on continuing without a doubt. But before we continue, want to make sure that we do stick with the conversation of Shakur being a boring fighter, because why does the public feel that way about Shakur? That's the question that we do want to ask. And then after that, we're going to get into Errol, Spence, Tszyu, 160-pound weight limit and all that stuff, and him having to elevate his weight. Should we be concerned? We're going to get into that. Absolutely. But let me see. As we also are in the poll right now and saying, is Shakur a boring fighter? 67% of you all say no. Which, shockingly, that's more than I thought. I thought it would be a resounding yes for most people around the boxing world. But we'll get into that. We're going to keep on talking about that more. But let me see. That's only with black fighters. Spanish fighters can lose, get knocked out, and the Latino community rocks with them. And I don't think, how do we say this? And again, I'm young. I'm not going to act like I know all the ins and outs. I think the different communities reacting to different things is predicated on what that community in this sport was based on and how that community has evolved. The Mexican boxing style has been always about dig deep, go the distance, you're putting your heart on your sleeve. Black boxing community has been somewhat has been about the same thing. And we've had so many legends that have epitomized that same role. I don't think it's a difference of communities or black fighters are the only people that get this type of sentiments and lack of support. I don't think it's that. Because we've seen plenty of black people that after they lose, they're still incredibly successful. Errol, Spence, people still want to see that brother come back to this day. And he was out the ring for 3 years. There were people believing that Keith Thurman would beat Fundora more than I realized during that build-up of a fight. I don't think it's about the race. I think it's about the conversation. Because most of the time, and to a degree I blame Floyd for this and the structure of boxing as a whole, but in the modern day, Floyd would have made it so that it was a fear to lose. Again, Zab drew the loss, he got respect. Diego Corrales, I think it was he was still, I believe he was still Mexican descent, but also black. And he lost, and people still rock with him and supported him. Way back in the day, Sugar Ray Robinson, 80 wins or 40 wins, lost once, avenged that. I think it was lost once to Jake LaMotta, avenged that loss 5 times and went on to go 80-0 afterwards, and didn't start losing consistently up until the end of his career. George Foreman lost to Ali, almost lost to Ron Lyle. And then I can't remember if he lost to Jimmy Young or not. I can't remember. But I do know when he retired and came back, still had a whole wealth of support, even amongst his defeats to Evander Holyfield and others. Evander Holyfield lost, and people still rock with him and loved him. Mike Tyson lost, and people still rock with him and loved him. But I think the modern day issue is the fact that Floyd made it so that losing hurt more than anything else. And because of that identity, it got really pushed that you aren't nothing if you don't lose. Or if you do lose, you're nothing. If you do. And some people may say it's because the demographics of the African American community, it used to be we were all into boxing, and then boxing and baseball, then it went back to boxing as a big time thing, and then basketball with the more money, with the more accessibility, then started getting opportunities and people started navigating over there. And now most of the bigger athletes that are known are basketball and football players in the African American community, strictly because those are the sports that just kind of we just went to. And boom, opportunities, money, height, reach, all that stuff with my smarts and ability. Oh, I can apply that here and I can make however much amount of money. And now it's a more guaranteed avenue of I can make a career out of this and be able to do what I need to do for me and my family. Like with any race of people, they all want the same thing: security. It's just they navigate to different places. with Mexicans, Hispanics, and anybody of that community, it's all, most part, it's been about boxing. For Japan, baseball. Baseball's been huge over in Japan, one of the biggest sports out there. And boxing has always held a spot. Of recent, it's had the biggest boom it's ever had in its history of existence. Fighting Hirata or otherwise in the framework of boxing over in Japan and or China, with Big Bang Jang being one of their best heavyweights they've ever had. Or just fighters as a whole. Time continues to shift and move. And because of that, stuff in communities can also shift and move. So I don't think it's necessarily about the black fighters not getting rocked with in the community. I don't think it's that. I think it's the fact that Floyd, more than anything, made it so that for anybody that looked up to Floyd Mayweather, black or otherwise, when he said, "You lost, you ain't nothing," and the biggest thing about his record was his record, or the biggest thing about his legacy was his record, everybody else who wanted to be like that held that in his highest esteem. And then anybody who followed Floyd, the loss meant you were nothing. So the O became the most important thing. It wasn't just black fighters that thought that way. It would just so happen that many African Americans look up to Floyd as, hey, he's one of the greatest we've ever seen. And he is one of the greatest we've ever seen. Without question. Without a doubt. But that mentality changed the whole makeup of boxing as a whole. And be clear, even if, honestly, you can't even say that his words and his effect on boxing didn't affect everybody. Because guess what? Yeah, sure. You had in the community bigger, names. Oh yeah, we still rock with you. If you want to use the Mexican fans rocking with their fighters, sure. Mexican pride, Viva Mexico, absolutely. Black people root for black folks all the time. They don't know who's fighting. I'm rooting for the brother who's black. I don't know who he is. I ain't never seen him. I just know that's my guy. Ireland, we've seen it. He's Irish. Oh, he's my dude. No matter what happens, guess what? This buddy, he's mine. There's nothing wrong with having pride in where you're from and who you are. Nothing wrong with that at all. What changed was Floyd. He made it so that pride was attached to the record rather than the fighter that you were. The pride wasn't in how you fought, who you fought, and what you were able to do, win, lose, or draw. It was simply, did you win? And if you didn't win, you don't deserve my respect. And that's what happened. Don't believe me, but he disrespected Ali because he was saying Ali lost. I didn't. I should be greater than him. And that's not the case. How can you say he's the greatest and he's had 6 losses on his resume? How can you say this buddy is all that in a bag of chips and you saw what I did? Actively trying to tear down the legacy of at this point, not definitively, the greatest icon this sport has ever seen, who, when many people thought it was impossible, overtook the iconic legacy of the epitome of the sport from Sugar Ray Robinson, which nobody thought that would actually happen because of how great Sugar Ray was. He became the literal face of the entirety of this sport, where to this day it is not even speculated who should be considered from a greatness standpoint in the respect of iconic attachment, representation of the sport. It's Muhammad Ali. The greatest fighter, sure, I think it's Sugar Ray Robinson. But the greatest, period, for most people, yes, Ali. The respect that they have for him, regardless of what they accomplish, is to a degree that nobody else will ever touch. I've never seen a man that has been feared in every room like Mike Tyson cry at the very mention of Ali's name. Roberto Duran had nothing bad to say about Ali. Marvin Hagler had nothing bad to say about Ali. Nobody, no matter what they did, ever was able to compare themselves to Ali because they understood, I'm not him. And so with that respect, the disrespect came from the inside if you're Floyd Mayweather. But in all respects, I don't think it's because the losses are only the loss is because of Floyd. And notice, after we have gotten out of the Floyd Mayweather era, what's been going down? Everybody is fighting everybody, win, lose, or draw. Errol Spence still got his respect after losing, did he not? People still want to see Anthony Joshua come back and be able to regroup, retool, and be great again. Is that not the truth? Is that not the truth? If Terrence Crawford had lost, I guarantee he still would have had a swath of fans. Tank Davis had a draw that should have been a loss. So people are still saying they want to see that brother back, and he's still the face of boxing to this day. Whether you believe it or not, he still got that much clout. He's still one of the 5 biggest selling points in the whole of this sport. There is without a doubt in my mind that the activity of a fighter now has usurped just the record itself. It has. Because people are now getting back to what it used to be. All communities are getting back to that same plethora or that same idea that's not about the record necessarily. It's about you and what you did to fight, what you did to win, what you did to succeed. How you left this sport is more important than what the record was when you left this sport. We're getting back to that. Why? How do we know? Devin Haney, Keyshawn Davis, Shakur Stevenson, all are in talks to potentially fight each other. And the last time we ever had that type of conversation was in dream fights in 2023 that we were saying most likely it'll never happen. Most likely it'll never take place. My gosh. Hypotheticals, not actual, it might actually happen. Couldn't dream of it. In a way, Nakatani, couldn't dream of it. Look at that fight. Most people would be saying, Nakatani ain't that good because he lost to Inoue. And they don't even know Inoue. We've had more black folks and just folks in general come out and say, brother, you don't know what you're talking about if you say Nakatani is a bum because he lost to Inoue. We got people from other races defending people who lost in droves, in a tsunami of vitriol, saying, hey, brother, what are you talking about? Look at what they did to Shady McCoy. When he was trying to say, I think Tszyu Carriage is better than Nakatani. He didn't even try when he fought against Inoue. When it came down, when the chips were down, this brother went and folded. And everybody on the panel, everybody in that was chatting on the live, and everybody who was in the comments afterwards was like, get this bum off the string. Because this cat doesn't know a lick of what he's talking about. If he thinks that Nakatani is, 1, not better than Tszyu, and 2, laid down and died in one of the greatest technical wars that we had in recent boxing history, going up against the best fighter in the world in Inoue. And he nearly won by nothing but a round. What do you mean he didn't try? He fought through a broken orbital and was still nearly putting Inoue in one of the most complete round disadvantages we had ever seen in round 8 or round 9, one of the two. Preposterous, ridiculous. But that's what he said. And people, black, white, Hispanic, Mexican, no matter what race they were, Irish, Indian, didn't matter who, they killed that brother, and for good reason. Because what he said was stupid. What he said was stupid. Absolutely stupid as saying the sea is green. Preposterous in every regard. Because we all recognize, regardless of community, brother, we are not thinking in the same way Floyd thought no more. It ain't about the record. It's about the fighter. And because of that, respect is being given left, right, and center in ways that it hasn't been given for the past 10 or so years when Floyd's word was law. Not only law that Floyd is a law potentially in jail because his brother's in debt to Kingdom Come. That's what happened. And that's why it needs to be so important. That's why it's so important that the community as a whole, they rock with who they rock with. They do. It's the words of the greatness at that point in time, Floyd Mayweather, affected the identity of what every fighter was viewed at. Now that shifted. Thank gosh. Terrence Crawford era thinking fighting. Well, now we fight anybody, no matter who. That's what it's supposed to be. Thank gosh. That's what I'm happy for. But even still, we got more to talk about on this show, and we want to make sure we keep the show going. As we're in the last, almost at 2 hour marks, we're going to go into the championship rounds real quick and have ourselves turn, wrong thing. There we go. Have ourselves go into the world of the championship rounds where for 30 minutes to an hour, you all can discuss whatever you want to talk about in the world of boxing and beyond. So let's get it popping, shall we? Let's get it running, shall we? Let's get ourselves ready to go and work and make this show the best half hour left that we can make it and have ourselves have a phenomenal time. Starting off with, as you get your comments, thoughts, and questions together on anything involving the sports world and beyond, we still have to talk about more things like with Errol Spence. Where's it? Errol Spence Jr. versus Tszyu is now slated to be at 160 pounds as they moved up the weight. Oh my. It's bad. It's looking, for a lot of people, it's looking really bad. Because this fight was supposed to be at 154. It was supposed to be the first fight that we were seeing Errol Spence come back in after his hiatus from boxing for 3 years. And now, all of a sudden, in the last couple days, since he landed in Australia, it has been moved up to 160 pounds, as we can now see Perfect Glazer as reporting this news. As we transition over real quick into his tweet, he stated, and I quote, if I can pull it up right here, he stated, Errol Spence now requesting a weight change from the July 26 Tszyu bout from 158 pounds now to 160. Not a good sign for Errol. Another sign of being totally shot. Oh Lord, aka Gonzo. This fight in boxing's ecosystem is really retirement money for a Gonzo Errol Spence. So don't bet on Errol. Now, do I think that's outright true? No. I think, again, this is Rick Glazer that we're talking about. We're not saying this brother is the absolute creme de la creme when it comes to the world of, some would say, respectful reporting. What I do say is, I don't think this is a retirement type fight. I do think this is a concern for the likes of Errol Spence Jr. I will say that. And the reason being is because that signifies to some degree, hey, this fight was already at 160, 158. It was already elevated above the 154 pound limit. And now you're at 160. I'm not going to go as far as saying, well, no, what Rick Glazer is saying, oh, this brother's done. I'm not. But it does pique my intrigue. Or rather, it piques my concern that Errol Spence might be in a world of trouble. Because if you're already fighting above 154, and now you're saying, let's just go on to 160. Sure. In his own words, he says that, yeah, we're already here. We might as well just go up one more and just fight up there. Which, if that's how you feel, that's fine. But what I don't like is to how that feels like maybe this brother ain't prepared in the same way that we thought. Maybe this cat is not in the same boat of health that we thought. Maybe his body is changed in this time off more than we thought. He's got a new trainer, he's got a new coach, he's got new all that stuff. But we've seen the footage. We've seen him training. We've had some concerns here. This cat has looked slow. This cat has looked sluggish. He's looked to some degree lethargic. And if anything, he's looked like he's still learning, or rather relearning, the body work and the system at which he would operate when it came to getting back to normal. And now if you're having to gain weight like this and essentially fight at middleweight, Sure. In the past, we said you could have probably gotten there. But now it's some people may be concerned it's a lack of discipline. Some, not all, but some. I think it's more of a concern. His body is a lot more different than I think we gave it credit for. We said that I was saying at 154, this cat could be back to normal, back to his best bet, back to the best opportune fighter that we could see. More muscle, more mass, less weight drain. He's had time to recover, and he said he needed to go out to 154 well and good a while ago. He talked about how his body, he had not been taking care of his body, been drinking all the time, doing all this other stuff. In lieu of that fight with Terrence Crawford, he got himself back right. He's feeling better than he's ever felt. Oh, that's well and good. That doesn't change your biological clock of your physical ability may have waned more than we have realized. And if that's the case, there is a little bit of concern that this brother might be in over his head. I don't think he wants to retire, but I will say that him already thinking about retirement has me concerned. Coupled with this type of move where you're moving up to 160 already has me even more concerned. Everything about this fight has me scared that we're looking at an Errol Spence who is for lack of a better term, it could be a dangerous situation. It could be a dangerous situation that this cat may not be up to the same par, where physically he is more dilapidated, than we may realize. Mentally, he's probably still there. But the slow uptick in the body, the more, brother, I can't squeeze myself down, even down here. Sure, you're already there, maybe, but it's like we were thinking that when you came back, you were going to be on it, right, tight, and ready to fight. That's what we thought. This ain't good. We've never had a situation where somebody said, let's move it up in weight, and it's been a good sign. Almost never. Moving up in weight outright, that's good. But you're saying you're moving up in weight, and now you're saying let's move up again. It potentially sends signals that we've seen before. This brother may not be all ready to fight. He may not be exactly what we thought he was going to be. This could be bad. This could be really bad. This could be concerning and all get out. And have us very much concerned, scared, and straight up confused. When on fight night, this brother comes up, shows up, and all of a sudden is a whole different animal in a bad way than what we thought we would see in the ring. Slow, sluggish, lethargic, reaction time incredibly slow. Hand speed, like he's punching through water. His body may not even look like what we think it should look like. Could maybe be up to snuff. It's also because he said he had 1 foot out the door. That's never been a good sign. All these things are pointing to me saying, I have some real concern now when it comes to Errol Spence and Tszyu. All of it. And so should you. Because we don't want to see Errol Spence in a bad way. We don't want to see Errol Spence in a struggling situation. We don't want to see Errol Spence in a way where we don't get to see him get back to form. Many people, myself included, want to see this brother get one more shot at a title. Want to see him make one more run at a championship opportunity. And if it's at 160, well, shoot, maybe Arizona Lara would be next up. It'd be the best buddy he can fight. And most likely he could probably get an easy shot there now that Janibek is gone. At least for the year-long ban. It's possible. It would be exciting. It would be also entertaining if we had that happen. A feel-good story that would be having the fans say, this is the Errol Spence that I knew. I'm scared that we're going to get Errol Spence that we just get. This is the Errol Spence I remember in a bad way. He looked just like the fight with Terrence Crawford. And if that happens, I'm really concerned. I'm really concerned. I'll just say it straight up. I'm a little scared. I'll say it straight up. I'm a little scared. I was concerned. I was optimistic. But in all majority, I'm really incredibly scared. This is a dangerous omen when you're moving up from already moving up. A last second, we need to go to fight at 160. This is a dangerous signal as to where you are in your own body, in your own makeup, in your own preparation as a fighter. I don't want this to be that you are in trouble. Good gosh, you might be in trouble. And if so, brother, that is concern. Also, Technique, what's good with you? How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for showing up and showing out and tuning into the show. We appreciate you and salute to you and everybody else in the chat. Like I said, we are in the championship rounds. 30 minutes to an hour, covering the world of boxing and beyond. Whatever you would like to discuss, we can discuss it right now. We're talking about Errol Spence and Tszyu moving up to 160, and my fear that Errol Spence is in a world of trouble because he has to already move up again in weight from a situation where he already was at a bigger weight of 154 and it was going to be fought at 168, and now they're just saying fight at 160. It's confusing, confounding, but all in all scary, because now it has me questioning his ability and preparation for his body, for his innate success in this fight. And who wouldn't be? Because like I said before, I've never seen a fighter where you have been needing to do a last second weight elevation and it's been a good sign. Because normally that just means you can't squeeze down to what you were trying to fight is. And for Errol Spence, he needs to be all systems go, because Tszyu is still dangerous enough. If your body ain't where it needs to be, he can go and take your lights out. No matter how much we can say to Errol that Tszyu is degraded as a fighter, which is fair. He's at the bottom of the totem pole right now in the respect of the championship window of opportunities, specifically dealing with the top 10. He's way outside with the losses that he's had. He's still dangerous, though. He's in that same tier with Keith Thurman and Errol Spence and Jermell Charlo. But it still is bad. And I'm telling you, Technique, and anybody else watching, Errol Spence needing to go to 160 is a bad sign. No matter what he may say, no matter what he may think, and no matter what he may try to exude on you to fame, it's a bad sign. Because it's not the initial thing. This is a last second situation. They accepted that, I believe. Sure, it's going to happen. I'm just telling you, we need to watch out now. We need to be very focused on what can happen on July 25th, because I'm telling you, nothing about this looks good to me. Nothing with everything we've covered with Errol Spence, this entire comeback route, nothing about this looks good to me. Nothing, not a thing. And I wish I were drawn, but my gosh, I don't think I will be. And if I'm not wrong, that this is bad, this could very well, as much as I don't want to agree with Rick Glazer at all. But there may be some truth to the fact that this could be the last fight of Errol Spence. Whether we want it to be, and this could be the last fight. This could be the last fight if this is what we're already dealing with. Now, I don't want it to be the case, but dang it, it can happen. It can happen. I'd be scared. I would be scared, at least a little bit concerned, if you aren't already. But that's just my opinions and thoughts on it. But again, we're still in the championship rounds of this show. You all still drive the entire conversation for how we go and talk about everything in the framework of boxing and beyond. We still want to hear from you in every regard and facet of life, to have your voice be seen and heard for the masses around the globe. Whatever thoughts and opinions you want to have in the framework of boxing and beyond, whether it's movies, sports, television, video games, basketball, or fights that we haven't covered. Tank Davis, Inoue, Ben Rodriguez. If you want to talk about Usyk, if you want to talk about David Benavidez, if you want to talk about more with Shakur and Devin Haney, we can discuss that as well with that whole makeup of a fight. Shakur's next fight, there's a name I did not name that you see that we can see Shakur fight next immediately. I would love to hear from you under the banner of Zuffa Fighters or beyond. I want to hear your thoughts on it. But again, we ain't going to overstay our welcome. We're going to give you time to talk and discuss, but if you don't have anything else that you need to say, it's perfectly fine. We can wrap this show up, send it home, and get on out of here and be ready to go. Real quick before I do, let me go through and show you one more clip in regards to the boxing world. And it is in reference to Devin Haney, as he also is gearing up for a potential fight against who? We don't know. But for what? For his title. This is Devin Haney training and preparing for this fight coming up, whatever it may be. And I'm going to tell you right now, this brother is looking more massive as a fighter than I think I've ever seen before. And this could be dangerous and scary for anybody that steps in the ring with him, as this version, Devin Haney, continues to go and show his stuff. But let me go on and play the clip right now so you all can see. Can't remember if it's got music or not. If it does, I'll play it. If not, I will. I won't. Okay, perfect. Now, here's the thing. And I'm going to play this while I'm talking on the side. I'm going to play this clip while I'm talking to the, was it left of me? Right of me? Left of me. To the left of me. We'll have more time to talk about this specific clip in Devin Haney tomorrow afternoon. But I want you all to understand something. I'm going to play it one more time on lower volume while I'm talking. Actually, I'll just play it on mute while I'm talking. If this Devin Haney is the Devin Haney that we're dealing with going into the fight, this is incredibly exciting. Why? Because this is what I've been asking for Devin Haney to do. His entire career. His whole career. This type of work is all I've been begging him to do. Is it literally? It's the biggest thing out of everything. It's the biggest thing I've been asking him to do, which is to simply sit down, let your combinations actually work, and let yourself move and utilize your size as a fighter because of how muscular you can actually be. I mean, look. Legit. He's built like he's sticking 180. Even Shakur says, as this is a quote tweet from Shakur, this brother's looking like he's 180. I'm not tripping him though. Again, that's Shakur's tweet, not just me making stuff up. But look at this. Look at this. You see how this is what Devin Haney can look like sitting in the pocket. And again, if you want to hear the sounds of these shots, when he actually chooses to utilize his power, I'll play it again so you can hear exactly what this is sounding like. You hear that thudding? Like, you hear that sense of weight You hear that? You hear that sense of real grounded power? Again, mind you, this is a big heavy bag. To my knowledge, normally these types of heavy bags are heavy bags built for training power. 230, 250, and 300 pounds are sometimes what these bags normally weigh, if I remember correctly. If I'm wrong, please enlighten me. But this is the type of stuff I've been waiting for Devin Haney to do. This type of buddy who can get up and weight this big has the capacity to actually sit down and throw bombs and be able to be effective on the inside in the middle of action. And he has the capacity to actually do some damage. And if he wants to, actually fight like the moniker of Debo Dev and walk people down. This is a Shakur that could do a lot better work offensively if he actually did some of this stuff inside the ring on a consistent basis, instead of being so jab-centered and conservative. Does not be saying that using the jab ain't bad. No. But he could be setting up combinations like this, again, with this type of legitimate thudding sounding power. That's all we wanted. That's all we've been asking for Devin Haney to do. For anybody like this is what we've been wanting for Devin Haney to do for years. And with him training with James Toney a couple of months ago, and potentially, and it's also with the training footage, what's looked like really him really elevating his physical stature, trying to maximize a little bit more physicality. There may be a shift in the game plan of Devin Haney going forward at 147. There might be. And if it is for a more offensive-centric game, I'm not saying that's what's going to be the case, but if it is, it will be one of the most exciting ventures in boxing that would turn heads around the globe, because he's got the capacity to hurt you. We've been knowing this for years. He has the frame to hurt you. Never had the mind to hurt you. Always had the physique. Never had the mind. That's been Devin Haney. His entire career, that's been Devin Haney. Devin Haney has always had the build to be able to hurt you. The size, the strength, the physical gifts to go and land stuff that can put you in danger. To fight in a way where, yeah, I can operate on the inside a little bit better, a little bit more destructively. I've had all of this physical tools at my disposal to be more aggressive and to be able to not just be a point scorer, but to be a better fighter, not just a better boxer. Always had it. But the issue was mentally, he was never there to use it. Never built mentally to activate that type of mode. Activate that type of willingness to let his hands go in a way that would thud and damage people. But if he does that now at 147, with him looking like he's 180 training in camp, if he does that now with this type of physical awareness, inviting the amount of muscle he's been able to pack on and saying, yeah, this may just be me. That unlocks a whole new game that mentally, if he gets over that gap, we're talking about a potential problem bigger than we've ever seen in the career of Devin Haney. That would change a lot of discourse for a lot of conversations of what fights he could or could not win. Mark my words. Keep a very close eye on Devin Haney from this point on. We don't think he's going to change. But the way he's been doing some training, it looks like he might be changing something. And if that change is true, and it's offensively driven, we could be looking at a dangerous fighter in Devin Haney in the very near future. Mark my words. Mark my words. Mark my words. We could be looking at a very dangerous fighter in the very near future for Devin Haney at 147 and potentially beyond. If he's willing to change his mindset. I hope he does, because boy, it can be something exciting. It can be something entertaining. But if there's not, we still want to make sure you all can have your chance to say whatever you want to say. As we're in the last 10 minutes of this show, we want to make sure you can still talk about whatever you want to discuss. Get your thoughts and opinions out for the world of boxing as a whole. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your opinions. We want to hear all of your concerns, your debates, your questions, your comments, everything under the sun. We want to hear from you. But if there is nothing else to say, which is completely fine, we will be able to go and return and talk about more stuff on Friday afternoon. But if not, we can go on and pack this show up, send it home, and get on out of here to let you all enjoy the rest of your afternoon. So, ladies and gentlemen, if there's nothing else to say, we're going to go home and get out of here. So with all that being said, hey, we appreciate you joining in. We appreciate you on the live, and we getting ready to go. So this has been another episode of The Watch Report with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. We thank you for showing up, showing out, tuning in, and being able to support this channel with your time, with your energy, with your monies, and with everything else involved. We're making this show so special. We appreciate you that were in the chat. Everybody who donated and supported the channel and chatted on stream, we appreciate you absolutely. We thank you so much for your time. We thank you so much for your willingness to stay around for us, Matt Books, and we thank you for all of the alms to the Empire and everybody else who left likes on the stream, who chatted in the chat, who supported and who talked all throughout the show. We thank you so much, and hopefully you had a phenomenal time. If you would, please leave a like on the stream before you leave. One like makes a world of difference on this show to help us to grow and flourish as a channel and thrive in the world of sports and beyond, and have us to be able to go through and reach the masses all across the globe. Please, if you would, leave a like before you leave. Keep on subscribing to the channel. If you haven't already, join the Empire. Be a part of the hottest show in all of the globe right here on YouTube. Rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts, on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you can go. Catch us, you can. And rate us 5 stars there to help us to go and grow even more across multi-platform environments. Hit the notification bell so you know whenever we post right here on YouTube. You can keep up to date with every time we go live and with everything that we do right here on our channel. And please be sure that if you can support the channel monetarily, we got Cash App and PayPal. Links down below in the description. Super chat, super gift stickers, and the like, super thanks and all. If you can support the show, we would appreciate it oh so much. We can't do this without your support. We're like PBS. We are funded by viewers like you, and do the most important thing, which is to share the show with everybody that you know, so we can keep on building up this empire together, all with you and your support. But I've been Jean-Luc Welch. You all have been wonderful. We can't wait to see you all on Friday afternoon, same time, same place, same exact channel. Be safe, be blessed, peace and love. We are out of here. Yes, sir. Salute to you. We can't wait to see you all on Friday afternoon. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful night. And we can't wait to see you all for the championship rounds on Friday. And hopefully, keep on living, keep on loving, and keep on having fun. And we can't wait to see you all next time. And we are out of here.